Okay, here we are. Welcome to the stream. New keyboard today, so a bit dodgy. I'm gonna be hopefully doing a couple things today. Gonna do a bit of catch up with pull requests at some point. But first, I am gonna be doing some work on the Kafka Franz input. I'm gonna try and get close enough to the traditional Sorama based Kafka input that we can maybe consider deprecating it soon, because the Franz Go one is really good and I want people to use it. Also, microphone is in a new position today, so let me know if the sound doesn't sound right. It's very difficult for me to test that myself while I'm doing the stream, so I rely on the people in the chat. And talking about the people in the chat, hello Marco. I am not going to be doing any singing, maybe a little bit, but that's not something I've planned for today, unfortunately. Right, okay, so let's get some stuff happening. What am I looking at? I'm going to leave pull requests for a bit because I'm right in the middle of something. Basically, I'm already in the middle of modifying the Franz Go input connector. Let me just give you some. Nope, that's not the URL we're looking for. So currently we've got our Franz Kafka input. And one thing that's missing that we have in the other one. Hold on 1 second. Let me just hide my screen for a second. I just need to run a little piece of software. And that's done now. Yeah, so one thing that the Sorama-based Kafka input has is the ability, when you're listing topics, is you can list manual partitions. So rather than using consumer group balancing, if you wanted to have explicit partitions, you can do that. What we do is we allow you to use this colon syntax, and that's pretty sweet. And yeah, you can either have individual numbers or you can have a range, just to make things easier. And that will avoid the balancing behavior. I'm pretty sure with the normal Kafka one, we still consider you part of the consumer group, because I'm pretty sure we still use that for committing offsets, but I might actually be wrong there. I'd like to have a look, but I think that's going to be different in the Franz one. I don't know. Maybe we're going to solve that today. But to be honest, I think most of the time when people are doing manual partitions, I'm going to go ahead and say that's usually because we are doing testing of some sort, or maybe we're doing some sort of like backfill, in which case committing offsets isn't necessarily as important. I'm going to maybe suggest. So what I think I'll do is I'll implement the ability to disable consumer groups, because I think it's easier to do it this way with Franz Go. So you can disable consumer groups and then opt into manual partitions, and I think I might as well also add the ability to start at a specified offset as well, since that's quite easy with Franz Go. If you're not sure what client library I'm talking about, and you're a Go user, I'm talking about TWMB, which is Travis Z's Franz Go library, and this is just of all the Go libraries, this one is just crazy good. Still early days, but he takes things like backwards compatibility quite seriously. He takes the Kafka correctness very seriously, and I've always been super impressed with this library. So I need to put myself on this who uses it list. I'm going to do that now. Oh, okay, now that there is at least a small list, I'm going to close this issue. The README section that mentions who uses this also mentions people can have their name if they want. You can add your name if you want. Okay, right, I'll do that. I'm going to do that off stream. I'll make a little to-do note. But yeah, this library just kicks butt, and if you're getting frustrated with whichever one of the libraries you're currently using, I definitely recommend you go check it out. But yeah, the only thing really blocking me from saying everybody should use this alternative Kafka input, because people have issues with Surama where if stuff doesn't work, so like TLS settings for example, you just get the worst error messages from Surama. I know that the new versions have fixed that, but then the new versions have also added breaking changes, so I can't upgrade to it. We have an open issue for that, which they're ignoring for now, so basically I'm just going to double down on everybody should use this Kafka Franz input. We've listed it as beta just because I was expecting to maybe have to make some changes to how this thing works over time, but in actual fact the library is still super stable by the looks of things, so I don't think that's going to be the case necessarily. So maybe I'll mark this as stable soon and we'll mark the original Kafka input as deprecated, and then we'll move on from there. But yeah, so there's a couple things that might conflict here. The first is the consumer group field, so if you specify consumer group, we're going to have to inform you via linting errors that you can't do that, and specify topic partitions. And then the other thing is regular expression based topics. If you specified explicit partitions, this has to be left false, because we can't do both for obvious reasons. And the other thing is colon in regular expressions I don't think would ever be something that somebody needs unless they're explicitly listing topic partitions, but that's also something I need to look out for, because we want to break the regular expression based topic stuff if we don't have to. So right, that's what I'm doing right now. I've already started on this, sorry. Sorry, new keyboard, still working out what some of the things are. So, I shan't bother showing you what the changes are so far. But basically I pulled out from the Surama input some functionality for parsing out the topic lists. I think what I'll probably do is I'll add unit tests for here as well. Hi Mihai. Mihai is here for 10 minutes, everyone. So we'll have to use him as much as we can before it disappears, but I'm still in the process of adapting this, so it's not quite done yet. So basically we're going to give it a list of source topic strings, and then we get back a list of topics where there aren't any partitions specified, and then we also have this map of topic partitions to optional offsets. Then whichever input, whether it's Surama or the Kafka Franz one, will have to do with it what it will. So I might add some comments just to explain what's happening so far. Split out comma set topics such as foobar. So the first thing we do for each of these topics that are listed is we do a split by comma, and that's really important because one thing you're allowed to do in Benthos land is you can specify a single string value that has multiple topics within it, and that allows you to do multiple topics specified via environment variable. as your way of toggling topics. So I would like to keep that because it's pretty cool. It means you don't have to inject like YAML into an environment variable if you wanted multiple topics listed. And then the second thing we do is we trim white space so that foo bar is still valid. And then the next thing we do is I'm going to make this less nested because this looks really dumb. Okay, so we trim any white space so that if somebody has a space in their comma separator list, just to make it look pretty, it's still considered valid. I'm going to rename this because we don't have multiple topics in here. It's just one topic. And the next thing we're going to do is so the next thing we do is we split the string by the colons, and that means split by colon, if any, allowing for foo colon, like 1, 2, syntax, topic, partition, offset. So yeah, so we want to make it so that you can have either colons in there or none, in which case we're going to branch if len split by colon is equal to 1. So if there aren't any colons, so we just get a list of just the original thing, then this is just a topic without any partitions, and we can do this, continue. Otherwise, what we have is either 2 or 3 strings. Anything else is invalid. Split by colon. So if the length is greater than 3, then you return an error. The string that has been provided to us, topic blah, is invalid. Only one partition and an optional offset should be specified. And then we extract topic, showing a white space again. So, there might be more white space in here somehow. If somebody did something like this, I don't know why they would, but I don't see why we wouldn't allow for it. It's fairly harmless. And that is the first bit, the first thing we might have. And then the parts, so remember this could be a range. So we need to be careful here. And this calls out to a separate function I've got called parse partitions, and we have this expression. And then this does basically the same thing. I'm just using strings.split for all of this because we're not going to be doing any like escaping or anything. Topic names are fairly limited by what characters they allow. So we know that if there are colons and hyphens in there, then they're obviously going to be part of the expression. This could collide though, is one thing, because that so this could possibly conflict with regular expressions, because I'm fairly sure a hyphen in regular expressions is a special thing, right? Or is it? Let's look it up. Regular expression characters. Oh. Don't want to use Microsoft.com for this. I'll use the wiki first. I just want to know if a hyphen is special. Tell me in the chat if you know. These constructions being confined much like one can construct arithmetic. Okay, no, don't care about that. The usual meta characters are, and that doesn't include a hyphen, delimiters. Okay, POSIX basics and extended, these are all the meta characters. Doesn't look like we have to worry about it. Nor do we have to worry about comma or colon. So yeah, I think we're fine. We don't have to do any special behaviour around regular expression stuff. That's a good thing, because that would be more work, which is not good. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to parse a range expression potentially. It might not be, and this is very similar stuff where if we've got greater than 2 sections in here, so if we have multiple hyphens, then that's bad. And then if it's 1, then we know that it's just a single partition being specified. There is no range. So we just try and parse that out. That's a 32-bit integer. And then we return just the 1 partition. And then finally, this last block here means that the range expression must be 2. It cannot be 0. Oh, okay, split does return an empty slice if it's an empty string. Oh! Oh, that's interesting. Oh. Oh. Huh. Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna have to think about this one. Or do I? Nah. If it's an empty string, we'll just return an error. Basically, if you have something like foo, colon, and then that, like if you have something that kind of fits this mold, then we're just going to say nope. Errors.new, empty partition expression. Is that going to be clear enough? If you get a linting error because of this, or a parser or whatever, it'll be specific to the line. I mean, maybe not. No, whatever. This is probably a niche issue. Read the docs. If you see this error message and you don't know what it means, read the docs. And then finally, once we've extracted one or more partitions, so what it does is if you do specify a range, I do the kind of silly thing. This is a bit odd where I literally just make a slice of integers representing the entire range that you specify. That's, I'm pretty sure that gets fed directly into Cerama, but I'm not sure we actually need that for Franz Go. We probably do, I don't know. Small awkwardness. It does seem fairly silly, but alas, we'll keep it for now just because it keeps things nice and simple. So what we'll end up with is basically a slice of partitions that we're going to be consuming from. If we do decide in the future to expand this syntax to allow more things, then we can deal with that later. Actually, I'm not sure why I don't support commas here. Oh, because it would, yeah, we'd have to make a cleverer parser. Because we do this, obviously. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, it's a shame. Oh, maybe I'll make the parser smarter in future, but not now. Not now, I'm afraid. Not now. So you end up with our part, and then the final thing is so we've got var partition. No, we've got offset. Offset is the last thing that we may or may not be parsing from this expression. I'm gonna start that off actually as has to be in 64. I think I'm going to use -1 to represent. Actually, let's have a look. We're going to be ignoring this with the Cerama one. We're just not going to support that feature. Actually, maybe we should. At the very least, if we're not going to support it, we need to return an error. Allow explicit offsets. Oh. If len or len split by actually I'm gonna have this as a separate thing. Split by colon equals 3 and not allow explicit offsets. Return. The error is going to be topic is invalid. Explicit offsets are not supported by this input. And hopefully that's going to make it clear enough. So yeah, I can use the same code block for both Cerama and Franz Go. Right, so offset's going to be -1, and if the length of split by colon is equal to 3, then we can get an explicit offset, or we get an error. Is base 10, 64-bit. That is that. And then finally I have to populate this map. So what we're doing is we're populating a map of strings, which is the topic, of maps of int32s, which is the partition numbers, of int64, which is the target offset to start at. and we're going to use -1 as our placeholder for unspecified. So how are we going to do that in practice? Well, the first thing is topic map. No, the first thing is the partition map is our topic partitions map for the given topic. And if it doesn't exist, we'll create it. And then what we need to do is make sure that we pop it back into our thing. We don't need to do anything clever here because this is a reference, so assigning it back to the topic partitions, we then don't need to reassign to topic partitions later. So this is just a map of int32s to int64s, and that means we can just walk our partitions and populate this map with our things. Now what I could do is I could check for collisions, because with this system there's nothing stopping you from specifying, for example, foo partition 1 and then foo partition 0 to 10. But I'm going to trust you as a user. Maybe I should check for this. So in the olden days, this used to be harmless, because if you all you were able to do was specify a topic and a partition, or a topic and partition range. So it's kind of harmless to duplicate the declarations for partitions. So for example, this is kind of nonsensical because foo and partition 1 is a subset of foo and partition 0 through 10. However, if we're also allowing you to specify explicit offsets, then foo partition 1 offset 5 followed by foo partition 0 through 10 is naughty. And yeah, we need to avoid that. So what I can do is I can either I can either throw some sort of error, but then I don't think that's particularly... This might be intentional, because somebody might just say, okay, I just want to read 100 partitions, but I know specifically, and I don't care which offset, get me the latest or the oldest, depending on what the rest of my config says, but we're happy for the general config to apply there. However, this darn partition 1, I definitely want to start that at offset 5, because that offset 4 is naughty and I want to skip that one. So somebody's done that. I want to support them in their endeavor. I don't just want to say that's naughty, you can't do that, and I don't want to silently override the explicit offset declared here. So I actually think the best behavior is to not throw an error, not ignore the problem, and do the overrides. But what I will do is I'll check for the existence of the partition in this map, and if it does exist and it has a non-1 non-default offset specified, then I will avoid overriding it. Exists and O does not equal -1. Continue. So if we've checked the map as it currently is, and that topic has already been mentioned once, and the partition has already been mentioned, and it's been mentioned with an explicit partition, so it exists and the partition is not -1, then we skip overriding it with this new offset. Now, I think that's fair. However, there is another use case here where somebody does something like foo 1 partition 5 0 through 100 partition 3, and they might want this to be preserved, and then another person could come along and do the exact opposite. So they say range 0 through 100 partition 3, and then they try and override that with an explicit partition. I would say of these two people, if we're gonna piss one of them off, I think this person has less of an argument, they have less of a case for why their behavior should make sense. If they want partition 1, 5 to be respected, they should specify it after the one that they don't want to be honoured for that particular partition. So let's support this. In order to support that, what I need to do is, it's not enough that we've already specified an explicit partition. If P is equal to -1, we continue, otherwise we don't. So what I've done here is, I'm just thinking, should I simplify this? Because that's not very clear. I think somebody coming here is going to find that very confusing. Basically, if you've already specified the partition and it doesn't have a default offset, and the offset that we're currently specifying is also default, that's when we skip the assignment. Otherwise, we don't. That's really confusing, I think. How about if P is equal to -1? No, sorry. Oh no, that's really bad. It's offset. What do we care about here? Okay, yeah, I'm going to try and clean this up because it's really confusing. So if our specified offset is the default, then existing offsets take precedence. I can't remember how to spell that. And I don't even need to check if the offset that's already stored is default or not, because they would be the same in that case anyway, so we might as well skip. So basically, if the offset that we're now declaring is default, so it's non-explicit, and this particular partition is already mentioned, we'll just continue and not do anything, otherwise we assign it. I think that's clear. I think that's a lot clearer than what I had before, and it supports this use case, and this person would need to reorder their expression to get the behavior that they want. Okay, right, that's the whole thing done. So I'm gonna start off by replacing what Cerama currently has, what the Cerama based input currently has, with this thing, so that we're actually using it. And then I'm going to write some unit tests for it, because that's quite a lot of stuff happening in one function, so it'd be good to have some explicit tests for it. That's why I've pulled it out into its own file as well. So in here, the equivalent bit is here. So in the new Kafka reader constructor, we do a range of topics. And what we'll do is topics, we'll call this balanced topics. Topic partitions, or an error from parse topics. I've not completed that because we don't want to allow explicit offsets. I think we just pass that error straight through. And then we have a couple warnings we need to make. So in the case of the Sorama based input, we can't specify both balanced topics and explicit topic partitions. We don't mix and match them. So in this respect, the Franz one is going to be more powerful. I used to have an error in there. Where's it gone? I promise you I used to have an error in here somewhere. This cannot mix balanced and unbalanced. Where did I use that? Oh, of course it's down here. Sorry. Derp. Sorry. Oh, it's this. Yeah, okay. I'm a fool. Why is it whinging about this? That's a really silly thing for the linter to whinge about. Or at least to whinge about it up here, in this part of the code base. It's not my fault here. That's not where the problem is. The problem is I redeclared it down there. Okay, right, so if the number of balanced topics and the number of topic partitions is greater than 0, we'll say you cannot do that. Otherwise, I think it's fine. And then what I need to do is if len, I actually need to assign, so we've got balanced topics equals balanced topics. Topic partitions equals, so I'm going to have to reconstruct this because this is just a map of int32s. Whereas what we actually get back is a map of int32, which we don't really care about in this particular case. So what I'm going to have to do is make a thing, and then for UV range topic partitions. Okay, topic partitions. Oh. I'm going to make a slice of these int32s, which is the length of the Then we copy that over. So that's going to be unordered. I don't think that's a problem. Maybe it no. Maybe it is. No, it's not. Maybe it is a problem. It's not a problem. Maybe it is. Oh, I don't think it is. That should be something that the integration tests pick up, and I also don't think it's a problem. So I'm going to move on. Okay, so that's replaced the Sorama behavior. We'll add some unit tests for this. I don't normally force stream viewers to watch me write unit tests, but I think in this case I don't really want to move on without having this in place, and it shouldn't take me too long. I'm going to do table driven tests, if that's what you want to call it. Do we need a name for these? I'm not really sure we do, but whatever, I'll do it anyway. We'll have a name, input, expected topics, expected topic partitions, oh yeah, I think this will cover everything except for allow offsets. Basic topics is going to be my first test. Input is just going to be foo bar. Expected topics is going to be foo bar. And let's write the actual test code. This always ends up looking basically the same in my tests, just because I find this pattern seems to work reasonably well. T's, TP's equals parse topics, test input, test offsets. If test dot expected equals empty string, then we require that there's no error. Otherwise, we require that there's an error, and we assert that that contains the thing. Make sure it pulled in the right things. And then we just make sure that these things match. Sanity check, let's just run that. Okay, so we're gonna have to have, that's really annoying. I'll tell you what, we could make it so that this returns nil topic partitions if it's not being used. It's a bit naughty, maybe. Is that a bit naughty? Why does it first get used? So yeah, we only instantiate the topic partitions map if we actually need it. Otherwise we don't. That's just going to make our testing a little bit easier. Doesn't really serve any other purpose. Saves us one allocation at startup. There you go. It's faster. What happens if we just have one topic? Comma, separated topics. I'm going to include white space in this test. Now that kind of means I'm testing multiple things, but so who's going to stop me? Are you? Are you going to stop me? Try. Sorry, I hope that wasn't too intimidating. What else do we need to test? We need to test the actual partitions getting pulled out. Partitions on topics. So we'll do a mix of multiple, like normal topics. Oh, we don't need multiple of them. So that we can see what happens when we mix and match them. Let's just start off as a string. Oh my god, this is so complicated. Oh, Kafka. Oh, Kafka. So we'll have bar. I shouldn't need to specify that again. And then we've got one topic. That'll be -1 by default. And then we'll do Mihai getting into it. I thought you had a meeting. Partition range, we want to test that. So foo 5 to 10 and bar 50. We'll say 0 to 100. Oh no, because I'm gonna have to write out each explicit one. Do 5 through 7, 0 through 4. I can't actually remember how the ranges work, whether it's inclusive of the highest one. Let's run this and see what it does. Yeah, it's through. So we would expect it's all going to be -1s. Oof. Okay, so partition. For bar, it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then for foo, it's going to be 5, 6, and 7. Cool. Right, what else do we need to test? We need to test the offsets. So the first one I'm going to add is offsets aren't allowed. offset not allowed. And let's add that to just a basic topic with a thing. And what I expect here is an error. So what I tend to do here is so lazy. I just put in a placeholder, wait for the test to fail. Topic is invalid, explicit offsets are not allowed. And then I can just copy paste the bit I want to continue testing for in future. Offsets allowed. So what happens when they are allowed? And we specify some offsets. Just simple case for now. I'm just going to copy paste that. 5. I'm going to change the numbers just so it's less confusing if it fails. Whoops. Whoopsie. And now the last thing I definitely want to test is overriding. I need to put in a bunch of parser error tests just to make sure we don't panic or anything like that under extreme circumstances. But I definitely want to make sure that the overrides are going to work sensibly. So if we have, for example, foo partitions 3 through 6, and these should all be 3. But partition 5 definitely needs to be 7. Well then what I would expect, let's make that shorter so I don't have to write as much. 4 is 3, 5 is 7 because we overrid it, 6 is 3. That's what we want to get out. But in cases where the new offset is -1, we shouldn't override it. Hang on, I've called all of these tests offsets allowed. Offsets override. Offsets skip override. I think that gives us reasonable coverage. It gives us reasonable happy path coverage. What we don't hit is some of these errors, but I'm not going to bore you with that. Do that another day. One thing I should do though is some integration tests, so I'm going to get Docker. Hang on, let's get Docker running on my machine, and then we can actually run some integration tests and watch my laptop explode. So my integration tests still run both traditional Kafka, and also we run integration tests against Red Panda. I am comfortable with either or both, but the regular Kafka ones are pretty ugly, just because the setup has to include Zookeeper for now. I am not currently aware, I haven't done any research for a while, but I'm not currently aware of a way of running traditional Kafka without Zookeeper in a Docker container. But if anybody's done that and has a Docker Compose example, I would love to see it, because I do want to do tests for both. It's just Red Panda is not an absolute nightmare to run, whereas traditional Kafka is. So I mean, if they fix that, then I would love to get on it. Hi, Christian from Colombia. Can I run these yet? Run test integration. I can't remember what I called all my integration tests because I've got them all mixed. So there's integration Cerama test now. Okay. Test integration Cerama is the only one I'm interested in testing right now. Oh, it's already doing a load of stuff. Integration Cerama test 429 skipping on Mac OS. Oh, okay. This is. Oh, okay. So I've actually disabled the non-Red Panda integration tests on Mac, and that would be because the networking is an absolute nightmare. It's hell on earth trying to get Kafka and Zookeeper to behave. So we're just going to run the Red Panda test for now. That's fine. I'm okay with that. I am fine with that. And while this is running, I believe Marco requested deploying in the sunlight. Fucking hell no. I'm so happy. That's what you'll get. That's as far as I'm willing to go on live stream. Ooh, this is taking a little while. Let me know if the video goes choppy, because that's something that should be fixed now. I think I'm only streaming in 1080p now, so I've got the latest OBS, so I don't expect that the stream should go quite as choppy when my tests are churning away, but we'll see. Come on, tests. Come on, tests. Oh, please, just hurry up and finish. This often means something has gone wrong and the test is going to time out. Because really it should have finished by now. That's not good. Alright, let's run individual tests. Kill the container first. Let's pick one of these to test against. So we're just going to do the balance tests. So this is just a list of topics and fan them out. This should be completely unchanged. Nothing should be different now. And that looks like it's doing some stuff. Oh, we got a lot of tests. We got connection refused. Oh dear. Oh dear, what is going on there? That's happening in the test helpers. Huh. When we're creating the topics. Okay, I'll tell you what, we might be stressing out the server with all these tests. So I'm just going to pick one. Balanced and only one partition. It cannot possibly get any simpler as a test than that. The other alternative is I run my PC and that's got like, it's got like 700 CPU cores. And a human's weight in RAM. And the disk is taller than my house. It's just a question, can I be bothered? Can I be bothered to turn that on? Is this an indicator that I think there might be a problem with my Red Panda Docker image, maybe? Oh, I'll tell you what's going on. That's almost definitely because we're running out of disk space. I've hit this so many times. Okay, Docker system prune. Let's see if that's gonna fix the problem for us. I hit this all the time on my Mac. I don't think it's ARM necessarily. I think it's just the virtual machine that is running the Docker host. It runs out of disk space, and then so yeah, look at that. It's cleaned up 20 gig. I don't understand how. Well, whatever. It's because I don't prune it often enough, basically. I mean, to be fair, when I run these tests, it's spinning up so many containers, and they all have disk usage. And yeah, if they don't get cleaned up properly, then you do end up just building up more and more. More and more disk usage. I wish that you could like automate prune. You just get it to do it. I'm sure there's like a pro feature or something, like some checkbox you can put into the Docker desktop app, and it'll just automatically prune every now and then. Because it's definitely useful in case I basically only use Docker on my laptop to test stuff, so I never really have any need to keep containers around. Okay, so balanced is looking fine. What's the alternatives? So I've just run this entire suite. Now we want to also check with explicit partitions, because this is the one that would fail if the stuff that I've written today is bad. Take this time while we're waiting for this test to run to like the video. I don't care if you actually liked the video or not, believe it or not. I'm really not that bothered. All I want is the likes. So don't feel like, oh, I can't ethically like this video because I'm not actually sure if I've liked it or not. Don't care. It doesn't matter. You're not doing anything wrong by just liking the video. Just like the video. I don't care about the feedback. You're not hurting anybody by just liking it. We're only gaming the system, and I don't think anybody loses by us doing that. Also subscribe to the channel. Even if you don't want to watch another one of my videos, you can just subscribe to the channel and just ignore the alerts. Just ignore them. I do that all the time. I subscribe to all kinds. In fact, I don't watch any videos on YouTube. Okay, this looks like it's hanging. That's not good. Yeah, what I mean is automatically doing the Docker system prune. So I don't have to like manually type it in. It'll just do it every like day or something. I think I've maybe got to reduce the number of tests running again. Oops. Because the other problem is I don't even have Docker desktop running most of the time. So if I had like a script that was just constantly calling it or whatever, like every hour or something, most of the time it's not going to hit. I'll like spin Docker up, run a load of tests that fill the disk up, not realise, turn Docker off. And then the next time I run it, I'm not thinking about it. So I need to reduce the number of tests being run. If the image is sufficiently big, it takes more time to pull than the test timeout. Yeah, that is a bit of an annoyance. I'm pretty sure in the background it continues downloading it though, even if the test fails, I think. So at least you know that in a couple minutes you can rerun it and get it. I'm finding it a bit worrying that these tests are not doing anything. I'm assuming that means they're broken. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add logging. We'll run these tests again. So I'm running this suite here, so we've got explicit partitions, and then we've got all these like can do, failed to connect. What's going on there? Partition 0, hang on, let me do it. Invalid configuration, that topic partition is already being consumed. Ooh, okay. Yeah, so these are failing. Failed to consume topic, partition 0, Kafka invalid configuration, that topic partition has already been consumed. I'm doing something wrong then. Maybe where I'm copying the partitions over, that's the obvious culprit to me. Oh, you know what it is? Oh, dirty Golang. It's that, isn't it? I bet it's that. Okay, maybe it wasn't. Partition 0. Huh, that's really interesting. I'm going to pick one of these tests specifically. I'm sure this one's fine. Can send and receive metadata. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a print. Always with a meow. This is just how I do things. And then we're going to see what the part slice actually is. Along with the topic. Because yeah, definitely something wrong going on here. Oh yeah, look at that. Multiple zeros is... What? I must be doing... Oh, okay. I'm full. Yeah. I'm a fool. It's not that. Unless it is. We're not taking its pointer, we're taking its value, so I don't think it's that. Cancel. I don't want to run it anymore. Right. Let's go for green. Let's go for green. Looks good. Yay! I can take away this log. Okay, the bug. It's a bloody good job we ran the integration test, isn't it? The bug is that we're extracting the partition slice. We need a slice of integers, but what we're starting with is a map of partition number to the offsets. We don't care about the offsets because we're not populating that. So we just want to get all the keys to then to a slice. I allocated a slice of the correct length, but then what I did is I appended onto it. Very, very common mistake. I am very silly. Seasoned Go developer I am. I still made that mistake. So watch out! Could get you too. But luckily we ran the tests and the test saved us from Go. The tests saved us from the Go team. Try as they might, destroy our code, we protected ourselves. I'm just going to run this whole suite now because that was almost definitely the problem. I should have put the V flag on. I regret not doing that now. Oh, there we go. Yay. Okay, right. So that's going to have tested. That's going to have done integration tests for a whole bunch of things. So explicit partitions. Explicit partitions with only one partition, all kinds of stuff, including ranges. So that gives us reasonable coverage. However, I'm not done in the slightest because I don't care about the Cerama-based input. That was only making sure we haven't regressed. So what next? The next thing is to update the Kafka Franz input to also support explicit partitions. I'm part of the way there, so what I've done is I've updated the documentation. So I've got examples now for all the cool things you can do. Got a nice description of what is and isn't possible. So the only thing left, I need to add linting rules to make sure that you haven't specified a consumer group and explicit partitions in your topics. In fact, I'll do that now. Before I implement anything, I'm going to add this linting rule. So basically, I want your config to complain if let has topic partitions equals if this topics, so their topics field, which is an array, if any of these, I think any is a function. I'm going to check that in a second, don't worry. If this topics are any, so any of these t.contains colon. So this is going to be a Boolean variable that we have assigned to if any of the strings listed in the topics contains a colon, because that's the only way that you can specify a partition. If has topic partitions and this dot consumer group is not empty, It might not exist. Just make sure we're not doing invalid comparisons. So this consumer group or an empty string, if it's null, does not equal an empty string. That means you specified both a consumer group and you've got explicit partitions. What are you doing, idiot? So for both a consumer, this input does not support both a consumer group and explicit topic partitions. Deal with it. The other case where we might have had a problem is if you specified topic partitions and you specified that you've got regular expression based topics, because the two are not compatible. So we'll add that to our linting rule. Sorry about that. If this consumer group dot or empty string equals thing, else if this dot, what's the field called? Didn't want to do that. Is that has a default, so it's always defined, so it'll always be a boolean. Else if this regular expression types both regular expression topics and explicit topic partitions. There you go. So if we have topic partitions, then we enter this block. If this consumer group or an empty string is not an empty string, then we give a linting error. So we assign root to a string, which is our linting rule. Our linting error description, sorry. Otherwise, if the regular expression topics is true, then we give a linting error. Otherwise, root remains undefined, so there's no linting errors, is how this lint rule works. The reason why I define these in Go and not, the reason why I define these as Bloblang and not Go is because you can export Benthos config schemas, so including your custom plugins and stuff. And if you specified your lint rule as Bloblang, that gets exported as part of the config spec, and then other tools, if they support Bloblang, they can also apply these linting rules. Whereas if you just had it as Go code, that's difficult to kind of serialize. So it wouldn't be exported as part of your config spec. So that's why it's better to have a linting rule expressed as Bloblang. You can basically travel along with the schema. Like imagine you were exporting Benthos as like a JSON schema or something. You could include as annotations, and this is a bit of Bloblang to apply. I use it in tools that I've built. Deploying in the sunlight is my mantra. Thanks for your work and blah blah blah. You're building. Thank you very much. I do really appreciate when people give me positive feedback on this stuff. Like the reality of having a community like this is most people are quiet most of the time. They're just quiet observers, and I understand that very well because I am a quiet observer of lots of communities. So thank you for speaking out. That's much appreciated. Right, that's that for the docs. I think next is just the implementation. Now, the cool thing about the Franz Go library is I think Travis, in his infinite wisdom, I love this API so much. I think has made it so that all I have to do is just change the client ops. I don't really have to change anything else. There's consumer group specific behavior going on here. Because what I can do is I can like pause topic partition consumers. I've got my checkpoints, and I do the mark commit records call. I wouldn't be surprised if some of this stuff throws an error if I don't have a consumer group specified, rather than just silently ignoring it. So I might have to put that within conditionals. I don't want to just leave that to integration test to catch, because it might not catch it. Let's just have a look at his code. Where does this get set? Auto commit marks. So it's just literally if I've set. Okay, so basically I'm going to make this conditional, this conditional, this conditional. All of this stuff is specifically to do with consumer groups and consumer group logic. And I think the rest of it is just down to passing my config through. I think even consumer group itself is fine, because that's just going to be an empty string if it's not specified, which is just going to be the default because it's not a pointer. So basically we're going to add to the client ops these things, but only if we have a consumer group specified, and that way there's no confusion. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to specify consume partitions. Oh, he's got a specific. Oh, that's interesting. He's got a specific type for the offset, which I'm assuming includes some sort of like enum-ish thing for latest or oldest. That is interesting. Maybe I should match that. I'll have a look in a minute. But I'm just going to put in my phantom field that doesn't exist yet. And then wherever we populate topics. So I do my string split thing here, but I don't do anything else. So what I'll need to do is make it so that t.topics actually Oh, T, yeah, okay. T.topics or we do want to allow explicit offsets. Topic partitions is a map of string, map of topic name to partition to a map. How many times am I going to get that wrong on one stream? To topic to partition number, which is an int32, to offset, which is an int64, and then we assign it here. Sorry, that should be F, and that's declared but not used. And then for topic partitions, range topic partitions. Flen. I'll tell you what, it doesn't harm us to always have F topic partitions. Oh, I haven't even specified what that is yet. Oh, silly me. Oh my god. And then we have kgo, what was it, offset. And then we instantiate that, no matter what, that will always be a thing. Give me the autocomplete, please. And then for all of these, okay, right, so for everything we're gonna make a part map, which is a map of int32 kgo offsets, and then for every part offset in our range of partitions, that part map is going to get populated with something. Now this is the bit where, so we create a new offset. A new offset or a no reset offset. New offset at. Right, so this is a very specific thing for. Okay, kgo offset equals kgo new at. Oh, okay. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like for normal stuff. Okay. I'm going to try and read that in my most Cockney accent possible. Oh, you're a baby! He's fine. He's getting on really well today. He's had a good 2 naps. He's a 2 naps baby today. Yeah! He's had some great naps. I'm going to do this for another... I'm going to do this bullshit for another, let's say 5 minutes, and then I'm going to go play with the baby. Although he might be making noise because he's eating. In which case, I should probably not go and interrupt. Okay, so returns a copy of the calling offset, changing the returned offset to begin at exactly the requested offset. There are 2 potential special offsets to use. -2 allows for consuming at the start, and -1 allows for consuming at the end. These 2 offsets are equivalent to calling at start or at end. If the offset is less than -2, the client bounds it to -2 to consume at the start. Okay. So in our case, if the offset is -1, we need to change what its value is depending on whether the user's configured start at oldest or not. And that's a general. So we could actually make this explicit. And that's more powerful. I'm a person who enjoys power. But power corrupts. So maybe we shouldn't allow people to do that. No, there's not really any good argument for not allowing people to make that explicit per partition, other than it kind of... So we've got... Let me take a step back. Let me show you what the fuck I'm talking about. We've got Kafka friends. So we've just got this general purpose start from oldest field, and that's a Boolean. True by default, and what that means is if your consumer group is consuming topics and we don't already have an offset stored for them, then we'll automatically either start from the oldest or the newest. I think what makes sense is we honor this when you haven't made the partition known. So if in your list of topics, sorry, if the partition's offset is not known, you haven't made that explicit, we will default to that general setting. But if you make it explicit, then we honor that as well. However, hang on. So I need to go back to my method, my function here of parse topics. I need Now, I'm not a fan of just having like multiple Boolean fields. They're very bug prone, but this is deep in the weeds, okay? This isn't a public function, so I'm not too worried about it. So wherever we're defaulting to -1s, yeah, okay, here is our default. Actually, I'll tell you what. Default offset int 64. Default offset, and then anywhere where we've got -1, we now override that. And now I will have to update my tests. But you're not going to be able to actually make this different. You're not going to be able to assign a partition's offset to a negative number. Oh, actually, you will be able to. In fact, I've already got that here. I've already got a negative offset. I'm going to leave it as an undocumented feature that you can have an explicit -1 or -2 offset, and that will override the default. I have no thanks to give beside those for introducing me to my true purpose in life, being a publicly shamed dullard. So I would advise most people to get on the Discord, but if you are on the Benthos Slack channel, then it's been a hoot. It's been a riot for the last couple of days. Lots of deleted messages from Logan, which is like the it's like the textual equivalent of blah, blah. Very fun for me to wake up to. I like when people post stupid stuff in like American time, because that's usually when I'm either asleep or I'm just not bothered enough to be checking the Slack. So if I wake up and see all that stuff, I wake up to see a lot of the stuff that the Americans have been doing. The Americans are like, what have the Americans done today? Do I need to add any more tests? I was going to add one to check the check the override, but we don't really need that. Default. Oh, we actually don't care about the default offset because you're not allowed to specify anyway. In this particular case, default offset equals -1. I can't remember whether it was -1 or minus. Okay, hang on. Our default for start from oldest is true. So we start from the oldest by default. And -1 is naughty, because that starts at the end. We want to start at the start by default. So I'm going to make this -2, and then if not, start from oldest. Has this already been populated yet? No, I extract that further down, so I'm going to extract this before we extract topics. And if we don't want to start from the oldest, and that's negative, double negative, single negative. Start from oldest. So if we don't want to start from the oldest, it doesn't really matter. Let's start from oldest, -2. And that will bring us right back to the start by default. So now we've got this topic partitions thing populated. We can get rid of this. Yum, 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 yum. Why have we got a yellow? Oh, okay, yeah. That's a fair comment. And a test has failed. What's going on here? Failed to init input. Topic foo 1, 2, 3 is invalid. Only one partition optional. So that's an error because I've changed one of my test failure because I've changed one of my error messages. Which one is it? Too many partitions. Oh no, I copied the whole thing. My brain's getting a little bit... My brain's getting a little bit soft and mushy. Right, so the next thing is to run the integration tests. Shall we? Or shall I go play with my baby? I'm not going to run the integration test. I'm going to park this for now. Maybe do a make format. Maybe a make lint. But yes, I need to add integration tests now for the new partition behavior. It's mostly just going to be copy paste of the Cerama based tests. And then maybe do another little scan of the documentation, see if I can add some... See if it's worth me adding some examples. And then yeah, this is looking pretty much good to go. If this works, I'm going to be saying a lot of good stuff. Well, I already say some good stuff for Travis's library, but I'll be saying more good stuff. I'm just I was having a quick look at seeing if partitions not nil is gonna do anything unexpected, because I think I initialize it no matter what, so it's always going to be non-nil. It's just a question of whether it's going to have keys. Yeah. Tell you what, we'll put this in a if block. If topic partitions greater than 0, so we only populate topic partitions to be non-nil if there is going to be stuff in it. Maybe not necessary, but probably a good idea. Saves an allocation. Precious allocation. Someone's going to be running this and be like, oh, where's my allocation? Oh. Yeah, I think we're pretty much done. I mean, we're at the point where if I was working for an organisation where I just really didn't give a shit anymore, I care about, you know, doing good work, but I don't really care about what my job is, then we've gotten way beyond the point where I would have said this is finished and marked the ticket as done and gone about my merry way. So I think this is in a good place. I'll add some integration tests. I can do that async. I don't have to do that on stream. I don't have to be here for that. And then yeah, this is probably going to get checked in today. So thank you for being here. It's made it a lot easier for me. That's not true. It's made it a lot more difficult. You've actually been quite a kerfuffle, really. Quite a hassle for me. But I do enjoy doing these things. I enjoy taking you lot for the ride. So please do come back next time. And yeah, thank you for being around. Thank you for being here. And I'll see you around. Hopefully this hasn't been too shit. And enjoy the rest of your days.